The Last Voyage of the Demeter is a 2023 supernatural horror film directed by André Øvredal, who also directed The Autopsy of Jane Doe and Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. This movie is an adaptation of The Captain's Log, one single chapter from Bram Stoker's 1897 novel, Dracula. The movie stars Corey Hawkins, Aisling Francois, Liam Cunningham, David Dastmalchain, and Javier Botet. The movie runs for 2 hours, and it tells a story and follows the plot of a doomed crew on the merchant ship the Demeter who attempt to survive kind of the treacherous ocean or sea voyage while being stalked by a vampire known only as Dracula. Now, there are some differences between the chapter, the Captain's Log, and this film. The captain in this is called Captain Elliot, while in the chapter and the book, he's called Captain Petraeus. Very different minute details. They had to change it. But this movie and the adaptation for the Captain's Log was in development hell for close to 2 decades, and it finally got made. Now, I do want to say, this movie is very interesting from start to finish. There could be some minor spoilers in this review. It stars Corey Hawkins as Clemens, who is a doctor who joins the Demeter and kind of befriends everyone, especially the captain, after he saves the captain's grandson. And it's really, really interesting how everything happens. Then we see this dragon symbol or this symbol, and we don't know what it is. Not only is Dracula on board the ship, but Anna, a stowaway, is as well. We find that she is the stowaway. She was brought with Dracula because Dracula feeds on her. He needs his nightly meal. He needs that taste of blood. And when her cargo or her container breaks open, her wooden container, she escapes. And then not escapes, but they find her and, they bring her back to health, do a blood transfusion. Clemens kind of, helps out and takes the blood away. But then Dracula gets loose. And the reason he does get loose is because he's finding Anna and he needs to feed. And over the course of this movie, what do you think happens? Dracula picks off the crew one by one. There are some interesting, amazing, small moment and actors in this film, and it's really, really fun. The 9-year-old boy, Woody Norman, who plays Toby, is really good, especially for the scenes he's in. Not only that, you have Olgarin and you have Petrovsky. It's so much fun seeing these characters, but the way they die is just brutal. It's set during the nighttime images, and the camera work and the aspect of the editing is really, really interesting. It's an interesting film. Some might find this movie slow going and boring. Well, when they take one chapter from a popular novel like Bram Stoker's Dracula and expand it into a 2-hour film, what do you think is going to happen? People want Dracula more often, more so. If you've read Dracula, the novel by Bram Stoker, you read the section of the Captain's Log. We've seen that section in films like Bela Lugosi's movie, Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula with Gary Oldman. We see that scene where they're crossing the sea and the ocean, they're on the Demeter, and then they make it to London or Carfax Abbey. Those scenes are in there, but we don't know what happens to the crew. Well, now we know what happens to that crew on the Demeter. They actually built the ship, a life-size ship for this film, which is great. And Javier Botet, the close-up shots you see of him as Dracula are prosthetics, are real makeup. It's practical effects. It's effective. Some of the long shots, I want to say, are kind of a bit CGI, but the way it's done is great. When they're going through the storms out at sea, the lightning and the thunder just hits, illuminates Dracula like it's scary. There's one where there's a crewmate who's lighting a lantern, and I believe it's also in the trailer and also, some marketing images. He lights it, and then behind him, when the lightning strikes, you see Dracula, but then you don't. And it's the aspect of Dracula getting his strength. He's so weak. He's just this figure. But then as he consumes the crew, he grows stronger and stronger. Then he has wings and he's flying. It's absolutely brilliant how this movie is done. And in international markets, it's called Dracula, Voyage of the Demeter. So, when I first heard this film was coming out, I was really surprised. I was like, wow, a movie like this, it's really fun. It was actually supposed to come out in January of 2023, but they pushed it back to August 2023. Now, I loved the entire aspect of the acting was good. The racism is front and center, I want to say, with Corey Stoll's character, since he is African American and on this crew of only white men. But Toby is that, person he befriends, and Dracula doesn't give a shit. He just goes around killing people. It's Dracula. He has no mindset, nothing. He does speak a few words, but other than that, it's the creepy factor of him speaking those words. The character design of Dracula is a mix of Nosferatu and Dracula and then Salem's Lot. If you put all those three together, you get this one. Dracula is mentioned once by name, and that's by Anna, the stowaway who Dracula feeds on in order to survive. But then she comes out and she says this myth and lore and the backstory of my village has been eaten with people. The old people gave me up to, be his food. And then that's it. And then we find out that he's going to Carfax Abbey. We know Carfax Abbey is the place Dracula goes to in the books and in all the films, literatures, whatever, the folklores, you name it, it's there. So Dracula and Carfax Abbey are the only two things that kind of tie in together the Bram Stoker novel. Certain aspects are very different. Like I said, the directing by André Øvredal was really good. The cinematic elements were really good. The practical look of Dracula is good. This is a very different Dracula movie than what you've ever or always have seen. It's always Dracula trying to woo a woman, and it's the whole aspect of the repeatingness, what can happen, or we focus on Renfield sometimes, but no, this what happened to the crew of the Demeter, the ship he was on, coming from Romania to London. Well, this is what happens, and this is what we find out. Liam Cunningham as Captain Elliot was great. I absolutely love him as an actor, just the voice he has and how he can, project that voice into, fear and strength, and it's just like, wow. And then the effects of when they are getting bit by Dracula and then they hit the sunlight, they burst into flames. It's just the agony and the look of what Dracula's doing to them physically and mentally. You don't see Dracula at all during the daylight. Well, of course you don't. But it's the nighttime sequences that really, really make it. The sound effects, the sound design, the sound mixing is great. There are some quiet moments, and as they're walking the ship, you hear the ocean crashing against the ship, the sea, the storm. Not only that, you hear the creaks and the sounds of the ship. It's absolutely brilliant. That really, really brought me into it. The only thing that I did not like was Anna. Anna was not needed for this movie. I understand that they needed a MacGuffin, something to push the story forward, and it was Anna. She got loose. Dracula needs to find her to feed. She gets better. What can happen? Dracula starts hunting the crew in order to eat and gain its strength. That's pretty simple, and that's basically the movie. And what is simple, straightforward. You take Anna away and put in something else or someone else, maybe would have been different. Them not having a Renfield was a good thing because this is not your normal Dracula movie. By word of mouth, I feel like this will become a cult classic, more so down the line after people see it. Like I said, it's that aspect of a ship maiden voyage. Put Dracula on it, and what's going to happen? This is what happens. And you take a single chapter, an adaptation of the Captain's Log, one chapter from Bram Stoker's Dracula, turn it into this. Wow. I'm really curious to see if other films and stories will follow suit and turn one chapter of a book into a 2-hour movie. Like, can you imagine that? That would be absolutely insane. For me, The Last Voyage of the Demeter gets 4 out of 5 stars. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought about The Last Voyage of Demeter. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you think of it? What did you think about the aspect of the setting, the story, the effects, the lighting, the directing? Did you like this look of Dracula? Did you like how it was portrayed? And did you like that this was only one chapter adaptation from the novel? And do you want to see more books be adapted like this with one chapter and so on? Let me know in the comment section below about all of the questions I just asked, and also let me know what rating you would give this movie, and be sure you click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell for new review videos on my channel. I will see you all in the next review video, and thank you for tuning in.